And we finish the section with the A-B passage, set passage A, arguing that we should use independent research in trials because, first of all, the adversarial system isn't good at discovering the truth. You get experts on both sides. And if you do independent research, you're more likely to find the truth. And secondly, the trial gives you a structure so that even if the judge isn't an expert at doing research, the structure of the trial will reduce the possibility of a crazy error on the judge's inexpert part. Passage B says, I don't care what you guys do at the trial level, but when we're talking about review, independent research gets the kibosh. We do not do it at the appellate level. And the reason is that, and it's interesting because here we have the greatest item of their opposition, that passage B thinks that the trial, the adversarial system, provides a crucible, a tool that will help you determine the truth. In passage A, we thought that, the adversarial values may kind of obfuscate. In passage B, we think that adversarial system gets to the bottom of things. But for the appellate court, since you don't have the trial happening, you don't have that crucible, and now you're substituting outside information for the proper role of simply reviewing the case that has come before you. All right. The principle that underlies arguments in both passages, we have to be able to point to some principle in each passage. And answer choice C we find in line 27. Independent research, according to passage A, supplements, does not replace. It cannot replace. It just supplements the party's presentation of the evidence. So independent research should not supersede the evidence. And in passage B, that whole second paragraph really depends on the idea that it is the system that works, right? It's okay to use, in fact, in passage B, it may be okay to use independent research at the trial level because you've got the adversarial system that exists as a tool for finding the truth. So in both passages, we have evidence that the independent research shouldn't supersede the evidence when used at trial. Notice how 22 is just a further iteration of 21. Both passages said that the evidence at trial supersedes the independent research. Both passages say that independent research should be constrained by the structure of a trial. I mean, we get it explicitly in passage A. A trial provides a structure that guides any potential research. And we get it in the same sort of measure as we saw in question 21 in that same paragraph, the second paragraph of B in answering 22. The whole of the author's position that you can do what you want in the trial is that you're allowed to do it because the adversarial system will get to the bottom of things. And because that adversarial system doesn't exist at the appellate level, that's why you can't do it there. For question 23, first of all, what is the concern expressed by the author in passage A about lacking the wherewithal? And the concern is that judges aren't experts at conducting research, right? So the problem is that they may come up with something in line 26 outlandish. So we want something in passage B where the author expresses that same concern that judges aren't experts at conducting research. And she expresses that most clearly at the end of or in the middle rather, of the last paragraph. It substitutes its own questionable research results for evidence that should have been tested in the trial court. Questionable research results. Why is it questionable? Because judges aren't experts at conducting research. In the same way that passage A said they may lack the wherewithal. Judges aren't experts at research. Hey, we already anticipated question 24. The point of their greatest disagreement is that in passage A, line 14-ish, the adversarial system is particularly ill-suited to handling specialized knowledge. Passage B says, nuh-uh. As a matter of fact, experts, have knowledge that may be beyond what you find in literature, and adverse parties can test the credibility. The adversarial system is the greatest engine ever invented for getting to the truth. They disagree about whether the adversarial system is particularly ill-suited to handling specialized knowledge. 25, we want a word that has the same meaning. Look how we use the word crucible. Line 49, that cannot be tested in the crucible. The crucible is the place where you test something. In line 40, adverse parties can test the credibility by subjecting the expert witness to the greatest legal engine. What does the engine do? It tests the credibility in the same way that the crucible tests the experts. Both of those ideas, the crucible and the engine, are ideas that submit the truth to tests. For 26, answer choice B gives us a first passage that argues that something is okay in a certain situation, and a second passage that argues that something is bad in another, that same thing, rather, is bad in another situation. Salt is good for some people, passage A. Salt is bad for some people, passage B. In our set, independent research is good at the trial level, passage A. Independent research is a no-no at the appellate level, passage B. That same relationship, it's good here, it's not good there. For question 27, if there's any question about this, it is probably in the relationship between D and E. And I think we find our answer most plainly in the question of whether or not passage A has exhibited a forceful advocacy or only a qualified approval. I'd point you to that second paragraph. These concerns have some merit. There is some reason to be concerned, but they don't justify an absolute prohibition. So arguing that there should not be an absolute prohibition against a thing does not amount to forceful advocacy of that thing. Secondly, if you want to look at the second half of each of those, explicit non-commitment in the part of passage B, and notice what she says in line 30, regardless of what trial courts may do. So here she is not saying what trial courts should do. They can test it. You know, the second paragraph makes it clear that trial courts can test it, but she just doesn't have a dog in that fight. She is mounting an argument about the appellate courts. And, yeah, that's that. And that finishes off this passage, and that finishes off this section. So here's the deal with these free videos. They're intended to serve a very narrow purpose. For those times when you're wondering, why is that the right answer? You can just come here for a complete library and find out why it was the right answer. And I hope that you'll find that it was very instructive. Of course, the other part of the deal is that since LSAC publishes all of their tests along with test keys, that means that there's no barrier to entry for test prep. And you can hear the air quotes, I hope. Anybody can, and lots of people have, set up shop and called themselves test prep companies, and they've got the questions, they've got the answer keys, and they just try to explain to you why the right answer is right. And then they charge you money for it? That is wrong. I want to put a stop to it. I want to sweep the legs right out from under them. It is bad for you. It's bad for me too. So if you want to know what the right answer is and why the right answer is right, I want you to be able to come here and find it out for free without paying anybody for it. That's very different from what I do in the paid course. What I think has value about what I do is that I can tell you ahead of time what every question wants from you, what to expect from the right answer, how to formulate a right answer, and then how you can expect wrong answers to sound, so that you know before you ever open up a test book exactly what to expect. And all the practice videos that are part of the paid course are just me putting that theory into practice. It's just the rubber meeting the road. In other words, I'm going to show you, based on what we've done before, how we're going to react when it comes up next time. And that bit, knowing what to do the next time you see something, that I think is worth paying for. And if you agree, I'd love to have you in the course. And if not, that's fine too. Don't pay anybody to explain why right answers are right. Just watch these for free. Enjoy.